All right, I'd like to call the Harnett County School Board June 3rd meeting to order at this time. Ms. Gainey, do you mind doing our invocation, please?
Precious Father, we come thanking you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the students of Harnett County Schools. Help us to make decisions that is in the best interest of every student. Thank you for everyone that is here tonight, Lord. Help us to be on one accord. Help us to make decisions that we know will not please everyone, Lord, but we know that we're doing this as a servant to you. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will entertain a motion on the agenda.
I can motion to approve the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on one second.
Mr. Chairman, we need to add one item to action, and it's the Lafayette year-round elementary school calendar adjustment. We just need to change a date on there. Thank you.
Mr. Godfrey, will you amend your motion?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Any discussion about the agenda? Chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Bus driver perfect attendance awards.
Mr. Parker will come forward along with Kelly Fry to present the awards. This in the last, I guess just in a few days, the bus garage has delivered T-shirts to our highest attending bus drivers. And tonight, they're going to honor our 11 perfect attendance bus drivers for this school year. So it's a big honor.
And I would like to say, I appreciate each and every bus driver we have, and I really appreciate those in perfect attendance. All right. First from Anderson Creek, we have Tracy Oakfield.
Yes. Lovely.
And also Anderson Creek. And I apologize, I may mess the name up. It's Thomas Tollefson. Doris Brown from South Harnett Elementary School.
Thank you.
And then we have Carrie Mangum at Coates Elementary School. And then we have Sharon Shaw, Dunn Elementary. And we have Benjamin Renza at Irwin Elementary School. Dogtown Elementary School. Then we have Desiree McCormick at Over Hills Elementary School. And unable to attend, we have Anita McCoy at Dunn Elementary School, and also Mary Smith from Dunn Elementary School.
Thank you, and congratulations to these drivers, and we just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I know parents are so appreciative that their children are picked up every day on time and delivered home every day on time. We just cannot say thank you enough. We know this is a thankless job, a tireless job, it's a difficult job and a very long day. So we appreciate all your efforts and what you've done for the students here at Harney County. Thank you very much. That would be great. If you want to, you don't have to stay, information this, you may, any of
I'll give them a minute. We'll give them a minute.
And Thomas Dudley and Brian Godfrey can move to ORED. And then I guess we got an ORED presentation.
All right, moving along to the ORED enrollment forecast.
And I do want to say, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Thomas Dudley's been with us before. He's a long timer with ORED. And we've got Mr. Brian Godfrey, who I guess is fairly new, well, new to us anyhow. And I'm sure Mr. Dudley can give you the background of ORED. But we've had him on board for years with our school capacity studies, land use studies, plotting out where the next school should be. They have a whole host of services they'll do. And so this year, I believe we're doing a capacity table like normal, I believe. So, floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Fleming. Chair Jaggers, other members of the board, I'm Thomas Dudley, and joined by my colleague again, Mr. Brian Godfrey. We're school planners with ORED. And this evening, we're going to be highlighting the high-level results of the study that we've conducted on your behalf, looking at your membership forecast over the next 10 years. We'll begin with a brief reintroduction to our organization. Speaking about the history, my first involvement was back when you all opened Highland Middle School back in 2014, being part of that process. And from there, talking about our organization, including our approach. And from there, we'll dive into the membership forecast, including the school level forecast, the out-of-capacity table. To introduce the ORED team, again, I'm Thomas Dudley. I manage the program. I'm joined by our land use planner, Mr. Brian Godfrey, and we also have a GIS analyst who's in the office today. ITRI, our parent organization, stands for the Institute for Transportation Research and Education. It's part of NC State University and housed on NC State's Centennial Campus in Raleigh. To speak more to ORED itself, we're an unbiased third-party evaluation research group that helps depoliticize school planning in this state. And we do so through the services that you see listed on this next slide, including land use studies, also including geographic information systems analysis, membership forecasts, including school-level forecasts, which we call the out-of-capacity table, and several types of optimization related to facilities and facility siting. Speaking of land use studies, we have our approach outlined here on this slide. What we've done over the course of this project is to revisit the land use study that occurred in 2023. And in that title of the presentation, when I say integrated planning for schools and communities, the integrated means school planning not just existing by itself. So coordinating with other planning agencies, county planning, municipal planning agencies, transportation, working with the other folks who have a sense of where your enrollment's going in the future, and we help sort of bridge that gap. So speaking to, again, revisiting the results from the previous land use study that was conducted earlier. Oh, here we go. We have, of course, your proximity to RTP as being a major factor for the growth that you're experiencing and that you will continue to experience. Proximity to the three main universities, the capital, Fort Liberty, and also transportation improvements anticipated and currently under construction. You have Campbell, you have an important water and sewer infrastructure capability, one of the largest operating in the state. To speak more directly to the membership forecast now, we'd like to look first at resident live births. They're a key factor in any demographic forecast. It's especially true for demographic forecasts that focus on school-age populations. And what you see here is the most recent data going up through 2022, and that last number is a little bit lower than what we had anticipated, which you'll see the impacts of that later on. But the main reason why this is important is because a large share of these resident live births become your kindergartners 5 years down the line. And what we see primarily here is a lot of stability going all the way back to 2015. So with that, we will move on to the next slide, looking at your membership history. The notable trends here, of course, the decline during COVID and then recovery, small decline this year. And to break that down at the levels, as well as showing the membership forecast, looking forward, here we are on the next slide. And so everything to the left of that dotted line has currently already happened, and everything to the right of the vertical dotted line is the forecast moving forward over the next 10 years. So what we have in blue there is that top is the elementary number for how many students are and will be in the future in the district. So we see growth at all levels. That's the main takeaway from looking at this here, led by growth at the elementary level, which is congruent and consistent with what we're seeing in the classrooms, or from my understanding what you're seeing, which is young families moving into the district. From there, we have the middle school with the yellow line also increasing, and the high school in the red line also increasing. To break that down at a higher level of detail, we've also provided two tables here looking at the school level forecast. Again, we call this the out of capacity table. And what we like about these is they're a quick visual way of being able to see where your facility needs are and where they will be in the future. The background coloring is utilization, so that's just the number of students divided by the capacity of the school. And so working our way from left to right on the first two regions here, we have two slides, so 4 regions total, these first 2 regions. We're looking at the name of the school, the capacity of the school, and then from there your membership as of this year, and then the forecasted membership going out over the next 10 years based on the data that we've collected as part of this project. And again, as I mentioned a second ago, gains at all levels, that's true, but what you'll also notice is gains in all regions of the district as well. With that, I'll move on to the second version of this as well, showing the other 2 regions. So that's working from left to right. Let's see. Yeah, again, growth at all levels. One of the major takeaways that you'll see too, if you compare this to last year's, and the grand totals are at the very bottom of the second slide, it's quite a bit more green than what you've seen in previous years. And as boards have told me from district to district over time, green is good. And that's absolutely the case. We've seen a lot of capacity increases and changes over time. I know a lot of work has been done on the facility side, and this is just one way of being able to represent that and show this that effort quantitatively. So again, quite a bit more green here than what you've seen in previous iterations of that. With that, I will conclude and ask more formally if there are any questions for us.
Any questions?
Okay, hearing none. Again, just want to say it's a
I do
pleasure
wanna
to
say
work
one
with
thing,
you.
if you'll, as the board noticed, part of that green is because we've opened some additional schools. I know we've got the middle school, Overhills and Harnett Central are in the red and are heading that direction. And so Flatwoods will help us, we've got Flatwoods Middle School on docket, so that will help eliminate that. And then once we work on the high school side, I mean, I never want to say we catch up, but we're about caught up to that point. So that's the good thing is the work that the board and the county commissioner have done in building schools is getting this to more and more green.
Well, I don't. Where are the huts? Because we got kids in huts.
Right, that doesn't show, that's just capacity of the core building. That does not have anything with, that's assuming that all schools have no huts.
I know,
Because you
but
want to get
we
everybody
have to
in.
have huts to have classes. So
Right.
these broke down in like classroom sizes?
Yeah, those are the core capacity in the building, I believe is how that's reported.
I'm not tracking with you on that. I understand that this is capacity, but why do we have huts if we're under capacity? You see where I'm going with
Oh,
that?
right, yeah, I see what you, yeah. We need to check, we'll check the numbers, see if we got huts in there.
Class size.
Yeah, one of the things.
That's what I'm saying, so
Right.
you gotta count, this report does not count class size, right?
No, it's number of kids, that's correct, it's number of kids within the building, that
I
is
mean, you
correct.
can't have, if they're
It's counting
formula-
kids in music classes and enhancement, yes, that is correct, I see what you're saying, yes. That is counting.
So it's kinda deceiving in one aspect.
Well, it is, because what we're counting is capacity within the core building, not actual homerooms. And I think that's the confusing part, yes. Because we're counting, you can put kids in enhancement courses and all that, not just homeroom, grade level, first, second, third grade.
But you see why I'm making the point. We
Yes.
have buildings out there that are not of the main
That
building.
is correct.
This looks, when somebody looks at this, oh, you don't need any more room.
Right, right.
Yeah, this is showing Coates Elementary at, over 200 below capacity, and we've got a backyard full of huts.
We'll
So
have,
this
I'll get our
this is
folks to break
not-
that down by homerooms and by huts. We ran into this issue a couple years ago when we were getting principals to look at how many people could actually fit into their school if you only count grade levels or core classes and not elective classes. So we can work on that. I'll get our folks to dig into it. Because that will make the data a little better than this, yes. Or not better, but will make it more.
It'll make it a
realistic.
lot more accurate
Yeah.
because these, you look at these, a lot of these are in the green and we all know, we've been to the buildings and they're not.
Yeah.
This doesn't paint a picture of
I think
our
where
schools
you're,
at all.
well, when you look at your new schools, you're good. You look at something like Highland Elementary, that does count the new addition that we've got at Highland. It counts your new addition at Overhills Elementary.
All right, that's 2 buildings.
Right,
Out
that's
of every
right.
school we have.
That's right, that's what I'm saying, but of those, Bowie's Creek is under, so I'll get our maintenance guys to go through there and work on that. Cause it'll help ORED too understand what counts.
Do y'all understand what I'm asking about, right?
Yes.
And you can see why this
Yeah.
does not, when I'm looking at it, does not reflect where we're at really, to me. I mean,
Yeah,
I might be
you're
the slow
counting
one every table, I don't know.
This accounts for every seat within the core building, that's right.
But you can't put a kid in every
That's
seat.
right. Right. That's right.
Anybody got anything else?
Just taking a look at it about your projections, and as Dr. Fleming previously alluded to, it appears that the new Flatwood School would help alleviate your projections for 10 years out at Harnett Central Middle and also at Overhills Middle as being overcrowded. Of course, that will alleviate primarily those 2 schools. And also our next one on the docket, I believe, is the Highland High School.
That's right.
And that should alleviate at least 2 of the 3, I would think, the Overhills High. And that would help, should help also with Western Harnett High. I don't know if it would help with Harnett Central.
A little bit Harnett
Possibly,
Central, a little bit with Western and Over.
but definitely Western and Overhills.
Probably Troy, not as much.
But according to that, it looks like we're at least on the right track as far as that goes, so, thank you.
Yeah, we'll work, we ran into this issue a few years ago, and I remember meeting with the principal, and said, okay, we gotta figure out what the true capacity is in a school. And when architects build schools, you can use Northwest Harnett as an example. That's if you have a rear end in every seat, everybody in the cafeteria, all your rooms full, your enhancement room, all that. And that's what we've been counting as core capacity. But yes, you aren't always gonna have 25 kids in a, or I gotta think of what the 20 kids, 18 kids, whatever it is, elementary school, 20 kids in every elementary class, or every kindergarten class.
So this
You're
is
not gonna have
basically-
21 kids in every first grade class.
This is saying like a fire marshal capacity of the building.
Well, yeah, potentially. I don't know if that's truly the truly equals that, but it's
So,
a good way to look at it. Because you can go to, and the reason why you look at Irwin, for example, you can see we've got a lot of space there. That's probably closer to a true capacity than that in Northwest Harmon. And then the schools we've added on to, Johnsonville.
from my understanding with Irwin, it's full. And this is showing, 75, no, or give or take, 75 under capacity. And that's, this is in no way shows where we actually are with our schools and their DPI capacity.
Well, no, this is DPI capacity. This is DPI capacity. This was reported to the state. That's what they approve. When Tom Hughes does the schools, that's what's reported to the state. They have to actually look at the blueprints and approve them and all that. But we'll get them, break it down some more. And we'll get with ORED on it. We'll get with Thomas and we'll get
Would it be appropriate for you to do it by what the class size is, the capacity level, like Coates Elementary is 874. If you did it by the classroom capacity, then, and you have 600, would we be over then? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, the thing is, there's an element you have to at least, and I think this is some of the issues we've run into on the past, is you've got to, with the class size reductions that's happened in K3 and all that, you've got to add that in there too somehow. So we'll have to work through it and see what we can do. Yeah, because that's the only, I don't know how you can drill that far down and get. We'll have to just do it by K. Yeah, we'll have to do it by class size.
I got you.
I don't know any other way to do it. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving along to the Harnett County Opioid Task Force.
Chairman Jaggers and members of the board, tonight we have representatives from the Harnett County government present to discuss the work of our county's opioid task force. We appreciate County Manager Mr. Brent Trout and our presenters for the evening, Mrs. Allie Fouts-Gaines, Management Analyst, Opioid Task Force Coordinator, Mr. Coley Price, Deputy County Manager, Opioid Task Force Co-Chair, and Mr. Chris Appel, Senior Staff Attorney, Opioid Task Force Co-Chair, for coming to give an overview of the task force and highlight some of the key components related to this initiative.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. White. It's a pleasure to be here. It's good to see everybody. Chairman Jaggers, member of the board, thank you so much for this opportunity. We're excited to give you kind of a brief overview of our opioid task force. As Dr. White mentioned, Chris and I co-chair this. Tonight, we're going to talk about the settlement dollars, the task force timelines, strategic plan implementation, main accomplishments, and then what's next. And then be glad to answer any questions that you may have. So we'll get right into it, and I'll let Chris talk a little bit about the settlement dollars and how this came about.
I know some of y'all have heard this from this morning, so I'll kind of briefly go through it. But just, again, briefly overview of the settlements is there's a nationwide settlement that brought in over $50 billion for a period of 18 years through state and local governments. Harnett County's portion will be a little over $11 million over that 18 years. And the payments are front-loaded, so we get more money in the first few years, and then it'll gradually go down from there. So at this point, we've received about $2.5 million. So far of that money we received, we've allocated $215,000 to our MOUD program in the Harnett County Detention Center. And then just recently approved $20,000 to be allocated for the purchase of Narcan for community distribution, which would also include being able to supply the school system. And I did mention to the Board of Commissioners this morning that last week I just heard that Kroger's entering into a proposed settlement of $1.2 billion over 11-year period, and Harnett County's portion would be around $355,000. So we'll work on getting those documents approved and adding that to this number. And then just wanted to show this to you. This is a heat map that was created by our GIS department based on the overdoses that have been reported. This is a good visualization, sorry, I can't say the word, of where the most overdoses are occurring. And on this map, we also provided all the schools, so you can see where the schools are in relation to the overdoses. And this is for the year of 2023. We'll constantly update this information for everyone, but again, it's a good map to show us where the problem is. And then the other chart on there just shows the deaths by overdose. So far, we only have data up to 2021 because that's provided by the state. But again, as you can see, the numbers have increased year by year. So.
The next one. All right, so I'm not going to go through each timeline, but as you look through this, you can see the sponsors that we have there on the right, and then the tremendous amount of work that's been put into this as far as kind of where the opioid task force was formed, how it was brought about. The summer of 2022, we began looking at this and engaging stakeholders. We went on a listening tour for about 6 to 8 months to kind of see where we're at, what's going on, what was happening in our county. September 12th of 2022 was the first opioid task force meeting. And in December of 2022 is when the Reaching Rural Initiative kind of kicked off. And that's one thing I kind of want to briefly talk about. As the next slide you'll see, we were one of only 8 counties in the whole entire United States of America that got accepted into this initiative. So what did that do? So that brought us together as a group and leadership cohort. I called Dr. White at the 11th hour, and we got to talking as a group, and I said, you know, we need the school system involved here. We need to have an understanding of where they're at, what's going on. He graciously accepted to be a part of this and spent a year long in this initiative as we traveled in many different areas of the United States listening and having leadership skills brought to us, and then have grant opportunities to make this work. Okay, so there you see the initiative of who was in that. It was myself, Chris Appel, Dr. White, Mark Morris from Good Hope, Jeff Armstrong from the Sheriff's Department, the late John Rouse, who was our health director, who was very instrumental in making a lot of this happen, and of course Dr. David Tillman, who helped craft this strategic plan that we're going to talk about here briefly. Really just a dynamic group of individuals, and it's just been really a pleasure to be with them over the last year. The involvement of Dr. White and your nursing staff and the counselors and a lot of the folks that have been in our stakeholders meeting has been just a transformational partnership, and I really appreciate that collaborative effort of making that happen as far as being a model. That's what we're trying to do as far as where we're at with the opioid task force. And we've been all over the state speaking in different areas, and that what they've looked at is that the school system of Harnett County is a part of this. So that's what's been dynamic about this effort, and we appreciate those efforts, and that's one reason we're here tonight.
Moving on to the timeline. So this is the first half of 2023. Again, just hitting on a couple of the high points. In April, May of 23, our community paramedic program expanded to include post-overdose response. And then moving into May 15th of 2023, there was a presentation of our priorities that was identified the opioid task force to the Board of Commissioners at a public input session. And that helped formulate the strategic plan that was eventually adopted. We'll delay.
Okay.
Maybe we'll go. Okay, well, I'll just move on. So again, moving further into 2023, in June of 23, we began phase 1 of MOUD program in the detention center. That phase 1 was to anyone that was on medication being treated as they came to jail. They're being continued on that plan. So they got that continuum of care. So that was phase 1. Then in June, July of 2023, our community paramedics began to follow up within hours after their opioid dose and started leaving behind Narcan kits. So again, great progress moving forward with those two programs. So go on to August.
Yeah. Go ahead to September. Okay, so now it's kind of where the rubber meets the road as far as the public input. We've had many sessions of that as far as about the listening tour, about kind of where we're at, what's going on. October 23, the Building Bridges Initiative, another initiative that we are part of, has kicked off. That we had grant opportunities to fill the gaps of what the strategic plan, the settlement dollars did not do. So that's the dynamic of where we're at of looking at doing, putting this together. The graduation of the Reaching Rural Initiative was in December of 23. We got a $98,000 grant to help fill those gaps as far as what we mentioned earlier for jail medicated assisted treatment and MOUD program at our jail. And then in December of 23, we were able to hire a jail reentry navigator who began that journey with us. And then as we move forward, we talk a little bit about our strategic plan. And all of this that we're glad to share with you. We have it online, so anything that you would like to hear or see or questions that you have, we'll be glad to discuss at a later date. I'm just going to briefly go through this. We use the acronym SOLVE. S is for stigma is reduced, O is for ownership is shared, L is for learning is continuous, V is for values are foundational, and E is for equity is centered. And then we broke this out into 3 goals. Number 1 being prevent harmful substance use, 2, treatment and recovery, and 3, reduce harm. And that's what the strategic plan has done. So then we broke out into 3 subcommittees, and that's what you see here, and that's how all this is set as far as the funding opportunities. As far as the task force is concerned, the subcommittees meet on a monthly basis, and the opioid task force meets on a quarterly basis. So you see the 3 ones I just mentioned, one being education and prevention. Dr. White and Dr. Rosa Smith co-chair those. And then you have treatment and recovery. You have Dr. Agnello and Amy Godwin co-chair those. And then you have harm reduction. Dr. David Tillman and Larry Smith, our EMS director, chairs that as well.
This thing hates me.
A little delay.
Okay. Every time it comes to my slide. All right, well, there we go, 2024. So what's occurred this year? So in February, as Coley mentioned, we started those subcommittee meetings. In March of 2024, Campbell held their Recovery Hope Conference, which brought in some faith-based leaders and churches to listen to how they can be a part of this solution, which they're a big part, especially in this county, considering how many of our folks go to churches in this community, so they are a big part of this. April 11th, the Executive Committee reviewed and approved an naloxone funding proposal, which was the first time it went through this process, and then eventually went to the Commissioners for approval. On May 1st, 2024, the jail launched Phase 2 of the MOUD program, and Phase 2 is induction, so anyone that test positive for any kind of drug that wants to start treatment, so long as their charges fit within the criteria, they can begin treatment. And at this point, we have had a few individuals who have started on a MAT program, which is a very good thing. And hopefully the idea behind that is get them healthy and also stop them coming through the jail, because again, these individuals keep coming through our jail. Again, I mentioned on May 6th, the Commissioners adopted a resolution to allocate settlement funds for the naloxone distribution. And then also on May 6th, the Commissioners also accepted $98,000 in Reaching Rural grant, which will again help fund the reentry navigator's position. Okay, main accomplishments to date. We already hit on some of these, but again, breaking out to the 3 subcommittees that we have. So the Harnett County Schools, you all have hired a clinical social worker to serve students. There we go. Campbell University and the local faith leaders led the Recovery Hope Conference. And then there's been continued collaboration with community and faith-based organizations. In support treatment and recovery, again, Sheriff's Office started Phase 1. They hired their reentry navigator to provide support, started their phase 2, and then the community paramedics began to expand to support the individuals navigating substance use disorder, which also includes that they are providing MAT treatment as well to get them started and then get an appointment set up for them with a provider. Then on reducing harm, again, our health department is distributing Narcan to individuals and community-based organizations. The allocation of the $20,000 for Narcan distribution. Harnett County Schools, which is a very big thing, has equipped each campus with Narcan. I believe you all are the first or one of the first to start doing this, which was a huge thing for this community. Harnett County Schools, you've trained over 100 staff members to administer Narcan and continue to train more. You're preparing to launch your pilot program for Narcan kits on the school buses in the fall. And I tell you, every person we talk to across the state is extremely impressed that we're getting to this point. Harnett County Schools has really put us on the map on being the forefront of addressing this issue and being prepared. So really appreciate your effort on that. And then county staff, we've arranged to receive an additional allocation of free Narcan from Alliance Health, who's been a great partner so far since our transition.
Okay, so what's next? Collaborating with our health department to create policies and procedures for community-based naloxone distribution. That's ongoing. We're creating that policy right now as far as the allocation that Chris mentioned earlier. That will happen after July 1 as far as the $20,000 of what's going to come first from the settlement dollars. Coordinating peer support services with the help of Alliance, who's our managed care organization. They've been a tremendous asset. And then by the beginning of 24-25 school year, Harnett County Schools intend to train all Harnett County staff members to administer Narcan. I know Dr. White is working hard on that, and then to launch the program for Narcan kits on the school buses. So that's going to be a big addition, and it's such a tremendous asset for Harnett County's school system. And then collaborating with community members to support a parent advocacy group, and then expanding our post-overdose response team. So that's kind of where we're at, where we've been. I know that's a lot of information. We had a lot to share. We just kicked off our website. Allie Fouts-Gaines has been very instrumental in putting that together. It's still a work in progress, but we would love for you to go to solveharnett.org and give us your feedback and any questions, concerns, ideas, or comments that you have. We'd love to hear it. And as Chris mentioned, on behalf of our county manager, Brent Trout, we can't thank each of you enough for rising up to this occasion to partner with Harnett County on this task force. And thank you so much for what you do each and every day for the students of our county. And we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank y'all. Any questions for me?
I have one, Mr. Price. Mr. O'Kell, thank you so much for your presentation. And this is, as we well know, a very serious problem, and we're glad to be able to work with you and do what we can to help stem the tide of this here in Harnett County. My question is the funding, the $11 million settlement that was over 18 years, I believe. Are these, will this be allocated in like equal payments each year, or is it like a graduated payment system, or how does that work?
On how we receive the money or how we're going to spend it?
How we receive it.
How we receive it, yeah. So as I mentioned, for the first 3 to 5 years, it's we'll get a greater portion. So I think the average per year that we're going to receive is about $500,000. It will decrease from there. So year 18, I believe it's about $200,000. So as the first waves come in, we've had multiple payments per year that have gotten us to where we are. And then it will become an annual allocation. Now, of course, with each additional settlement, we're getting additional payments. So, for example, Kroger will then be a separate payment. So we're getting different tiers now at this point.
That's actually a very good question. So as you look at our strategic plan, you can see quarterly goals that we're trying to accomplish. So the settlement dollars are not going to fund all that. So that's why we're going after all these grants to fill those gaps. And so those subcommittees meet on a monthly basis and look at that to see where they stand. Then they come back to the full task force once a quarter, and that's where the allocation of dollars are at.
Thank you. And now that you've explained that very well, I suddenly see the little chart overlooked. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
I'd just like to say thank you very much. It's very impressive. And I want to thank the county manager's office and you guys for a wonderful job that you're doing for something that is just out there. And we got to do all we can,
That's exactly right.
whatever it is, to stop it. in Harnett County.
I appreciate that. We're here to partner with you and see if we can combat this the best way we can. So whatever we can do to help, just let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did want to mention, we did find a couple here that were adjusted, one or two, I haven't gone through them all, but that were adjusted down from the actual building capacity. So I don't know if it's a situation of, as new schools came on, we kept the full capacity, and some of the older ones we lowered down, but we're gonna have to dig through it, and we'll get ORED to redo the chart. So I just wanted to make sure I clarified that I think at one point we had caught up with it, and in building schools, we put the full capacity in, and as well as the addition, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fleming. Moving along to the public comment section. Each month, a part of at least one regularly scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board through public comment. A sign-up sheet will be available for any individual or group to indicate their desire to address the board. The chairperson will decide the amount of time devoted to public comments. The superintendent shall develop additional procedures to ensure public comment sessions proceed in an efficient and orderly manner. Board members will not respond to individuals who address the board except to request clarifications of points made by the presenter. Except in cases of emergency, information received during the presentations will not be acted upon at the time it is received. It will take a unanimous vote of the board members present to take action on the presentation considered to be of unusual or emergency nature at the time it is presented. Disruptions by any persons or persons of a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance to GS 143-318.17. If the board does not hold a regular meeting during a month, the board will not provide a time for public comment in any other meeting held during that month, unless a majority of the board votes to allow public comment at the meeting, or unless the purpose of the meeting is a public hearing. Each speaker must complete each section of the sign-up sheet. Each speaker may only speak for 3 minutes. No balance of time may be yielded to other speaker. A maximum of 30 minutes is allowed for public comments. This allows the approximately 10 speakers at 3 minutes per speaker. The speaker sign-up sheet is removed at the beginning of the board meeting. I think we have.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add one thing.
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask the public speakers to please speak up when you get up to the podium so we can hear every word that you're saying, because it is important.
Thank you. All right, moving along, the first speaker is Larry Mitchell. If you'll come up and state where you live in the county.
Dr. Fleming, superintendents, board members. It's the first time I've been to a board meeting from schools here in Harnett County. Can you hear me? My name is Larry Mitchell. I live at 478 Century Drive in Cameron, in a neighborhood called Lexington Plantation. Today I was going to talk on two subjects, but I want to comment just on one we just had here, is the school bus drivers and their perfect record. As a taxpayer and a voter, I do see these buses every day, and I always think about them as they present safety to our students and to the residents of our neighborhood. I do recommend, when I see a positive approach from the school buses when they perform safety measures, I like to comment to the school board the school bus number and recommendation that they did. So they're a powerful visual impact to the taxpayers that we have in our residents. The first subject I'd like to talk about is the County Board of Commissioners. I've been here about 15 months, and I moved from Virginia. I like to recommend that somebody from the school board participate in the commissioner board meetings when they have public comment. The meeting brought to attention many poor comments about the schools, and I don't believe in that very much myself. I like to find out the facts and ensure that the commissioners get the correct information. So I like to see, recommend somebody from the school board participate and get a visual approach to the citizens that come to the public comment period. In Virginia, we had the school board there all the time. So the superintendent was there, and it was a positive way to approach comments from them. The last comment I'd like to talk about is the career and technical education. That's important to me. As funding comes about, we need to look at a recommendation of having aviation in our technical training. It's a career field that's very important. It takes a lot of training and knowledge. You do have a lot of curriculum today necessary, like vehicle maintenance, electronics, computer, mathematics, and all that comes into play when you talk about aviation. You probably heard in the news about incidents that are happening on our fixed-wing aircraft, doors falling off, engine problems, and so forth. And a lot of people are getting out of aviation because of the liability that they have. So I finished my career in the Army as a rotary wing mechanic, technical inspector, in charge of schools in the Army. And we need these people to start at the lowest level in high school. I went to Bel Air Senior High in my 11th and 12th grade. I did go to vocational technical school. That set the foundation for me to have the technical skills when I was drafted in the Army in 1970, that I was able to go into aviation. It's so technical now and so complex that if a young soldier goes in the military, they have to sign up for 6 years for aviation because so much training is involved.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Your time's up, but we do appreciate everything you said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fleming, update.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and I would like to go off script here for a moment and again thank our bus drivers for being here. And I think this is something very nice and new that we've added to recognize our perfect attendance bus drivers. They are very critical, and so I do appreciate them being here. This year we had a very successful, we had 6 very successful graduations. Thank you to Triton High School and Campbell University for hosting these events. Each graduation was well planned and organized. Congratulations to our student services staff for submitting successful applications for the Purple Star Award. Again, Harnett County Schools has been awarded the North Carolina Purple Star District Award for the 5th straight year. We're the only district in North Carolina to receive this for 5 years straight. This means all of our schools successfully achieved the Purple Star Award. This award recognizes schools that complete evidence showing that they are committed to serving our military students and families. Congratulations to Overhills High School for winning the 2024 Build Harnett competition. This is one of the best events in the county. Students compete by building a shed within just a few days, very short time frame. The sheds are then sold online. I believe the auction is over, and I think we've sold all of them. Several of us had a great visit at the General Assembly a little over 2 weeks ago. Mr. Cox and I met with several legislators on the state low wealth allotment and supplement cut. It was positive, but now we just need to wait to see the budget. We hear that only a conference budget will be released once House and Senate leaders agrees. Typically, each chamber releases a budget, and then they work on the conference document with the differences in between each one. It does not sound like that will happen this year. Our second visit that same day was with our local legislative delegation on Principal Fellows funding. Again, it was positive, and Campbell University officials joined us. This program has helped fill our assistant principal pool by providing tuition and salaries for aspiring assistant principals. Next week, we'll have our annual summer leadership meeting with all our district and school-based administrators. We'll do that at Gentry. We're going to welcome our board members to stop by and say hello. I'll give you that date in just a moment. As well, and I want to make sure, yes, here it is. Elected officials, we're going to invite the school board as well as county commissioners and others. You're invited to join us at Gentry on Thursday, June 13th at 2 p.m. We're going to have just a little, it's a break, so it'll be some type of little snack reception arrangement. And so we would encourage you to stop by and say hello. It'll be cabinet members, directors, principals, and assistant principals. Thursday, June 13th at 2 p.m. Due to a scheduling conflict, we must cancel our June work session. Our alternate date didn't work for everyone, so our next meeting will be the end of June. That's our closeout meeting. And it'll also be our July monthly meeting at 6 p.m. on Thursday, June 27th. So we will not have a meeting on the 17th, I believe it was. Thursday, June 27th at 6 p.m. Our convocation this year will be on Thursday, August 8th at 10 a.m. That'll be at Kimball University Convocation Center. And I believe in a few weeks we'll announce who the speaker is.
So what time?
10 a.m. Thursday, August 8th, we'll be out time for lunch. And then before I close, let's wish Mr. Brad Abate a happy birthday on June 16th. June 6th, somebody gave you the wrong date.
Yeah, it was me, I'm sorry.
June 6th, 10 days earlier. Mr. Chairman, pending any questions, that concludes my report this evening.
Dr. Fleming, I just have a couple.
Yep.
The, can you check, do we have, if the state already has any kind of aviation program? Because I know,
Yes.
you know, getting, I have my pilot's license, and it would have helped in school if I would have been able to go through ground school or
Yes.
plane maintenance, things like that.
So I don't know that DPI does. We can do dual enrollment in aviation, and I know, as a matter of fact, it was Representative Penny and some others at Campbell had talked to us about doing a potential dual enrollment program with Campbell in partnership with Elizabeth City State. Elizabeth City State probably has the best aviation school. They're sponsored by Delta, American, a couple of airlines. And so they have talked to us about potentially doing a partnership with them at the jetport. And so we are going to have those conversations with Campbell and with Elizabeth.
Well, I mean, it would get the students who are interested in aviation well on their way to becoming a pilot or maintenance or whatever it is. But, thank you.
And it's most, and what it is, and I'm just saying, it's not necessarily for pilot's license. I don't know if our insurance will let, but it's more for engines, engineering, that line of work. And then they would go to Elizabeth City or go to Campbell through Elizabeth City, whichever. I know Elizabeth City would be the main organization or more main institution of higher education. And then I think that's where they get their license.
Well, if you know how they work, you'll be able to fly them better later on.
That's exactly right.
And Tammy, will you remember to send out a text reminder on June 13th?
Yeah.
Yes, for the June 2017?
No, the
Well, and
13th.
Oh, yes.
The
Yeah.
13th.
So no work session this month. That's the thing to remember. Please don't show up.
Anyone else have a question for Dr. Fleming? Thank you, Dr. Fleming.
Thank you.
Moving along to auxiliary services update, Mr. Matthews.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, the auxiliary services department obviously moving into summer mode. Our maintenance and safety folks will be concentrating on some of our projects that are more easily accomplished, I guess, when we do not have students and staff in the building other than the skeletal office staff that might be there during the summer. Of course, we're going to have a short summer this time as far as the way the beginning of the 24-25 school calendar starts this time. So our summer cleaning is going to be somewhat compressed. Talked to Mr. McDowell this morning. They have a plan ready to go to try to make sure we get our buildings refurbished and turned around during this summertime to have them ready for the start of the next school year. If you've been down Highway 210 between or by Harnett Central Middle School, you've seen the buses parked as our transportation folks got those in, and they'll be servicing them and looking at them during the summer, getting them prepared to start the new school year as well. Our child nutrition folks will be doing summer feeding. Ms. Brown is here, but she might want to elaborate a little bit. But they started somewhat of a new concept this summer. We have offered lunches, I guess, at schools in the past during the summer. We received some inquiries and requests to possibly move those to some of our parks, and so we actually had our first day today, I believe, at four parks in the county, and they served 92 children lunches today, I believe. So we're excited to see where that goes and how that progresses. And part of the thinking there is based on the location of some of our elementary schools. It's actually, the parks are actually maybe somewhat easier for our folks to get to and to be able to take advantage of our meal offerings in the summer. And let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to mention, but at any rate, we are prepared and have our plans ready to move through the summer and try to get things ready for the new school year. As soon as we close one, we're starting to work on the next one. So unless you have any questions for me, that's all I have this evening.
Just one question. Did the gentleman get up with you that I brought to your attention?
He did, and Mr. McDowell and Mr. Matthews have already met with him, and they, I think, if I remember correctly, that the gentleman's organization will have their original meeting their organization meeting in a couple of weeks. Yeah, in a couple of weeks, and then they'll be making that happen. So, and basically, for those of you that don't know, that was a community organization that reached out to assist some with our schools over the summer. So we'll be partnering with some volunteers to help us with maybe mostly our grounds. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Matthews? Moving along to curriculum and instruction update. Ms. Ferguson?
Good evening, Chairman Jaggers, members of the board. We have completed our end-of-year testing, and that is a lot because there's something for everyone, from K-4 with our M-class, grades 3 through 8 with our EOG, and 9 through 12 with our EOC. So we have wrapped that up. As Dr. Fleming mentioned, we had hosted our shed competition this month with the support of our Harnett County Business Partnership and CCCC. Our CTE teachers were extremely proud of them. They did a phenomenal job. The students did a phenomenal job. And we've had students who walked away from that event with some offers of full-time employment, and that's always our goal. We're now working hard with our schools to prepare for all of our summer programs. So I've shared the handout, the flyer that you can find on our Facebook page. And I just want to stress to any parents, if they have questions, to please contact their child's school. We do have something for everyone at some time during this summer. We have traditional summer school. We have our reading camp for grades 1, 2, and 3. We have some summer splash for our incoming kindergarten students. This is at every site that has kindergarten. We do something with our incoming 6th graders at all of our middle schools, our incoming 9th graders at all of our high schools. We have summer trek for our AEIG students in grades 4 through 8. We have CTE accelerated courses throughout the summer for middle and high school students. And we have credit recovery for high school students who may need to recover some credits. So again, just encourage you, if you have any questions, reach out to your child's school. We'd love for as many students as possible to participate in these summer programs. Another exciting part of our summer programs is the summer reading for grades K through 5. If you remember earlier in the year, you approved this at a meeting, and so all students in K through 5 were able to self-select brand new books to take home and read over the summer. This month, we are very busy working with our school leaders and our teachers in professional development. We are going to have professional development for our coaches that includes training with Jim Knight's group. We're offering student engagement PD our principals have asked for. They are bringing teams from their schools for this professional development. Today we had literacy PD for our K-5 principals and teachers, and the teachers left with approximately 60 books for their classroom. All of this is optional. It's based on the demand of our teachers and our administrators, what they're interested in, and we have a lot more to offer this summer. Our directors, coaches, and classroom teachers who will be paid have begun working on resources and pacing guides for K-12 for teacher support next year. This year we have new science standards that will be rolled out across the state. Fortunately, we had teachers who participated with our regional group, So all this will be rolled out across the region as far as resources and pacing guides and training. Those are my updates for tonight, unless you have any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Ferguson?
One question, the levels, score levels, has the state released anything on that yet? Testing?
They have released the proficiency that they release every year with the, in the student reports. They have those. We don't have our final, like the IRR for the district or for the school yet. We do have some proficiency data, yes. Mhm.
Anything further from Ms. Ferguson? Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. Human
Just one
Resources. Oh,
I was, Ms. Gaines, I think the questions maybe become, at the very beginning of testing, we were not able to release because we were testing earlier this year, and you have to wait until 10% of all the tests across the state are in for them to set those scores. So there was some delay, so, yeah.
I knew there was a delay, but wasn't sure what the reason.
It's because we tested earlier this year, so it caught me a little bit off guard too, so, yes, thank you.
Human Resources, Ms. Thompson?
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, I want to report some improvement in our hiring, and my staff reminded me as we were coming out that this might change, once we update the list, but I believe you have to celebrate what you have when you have it. So our total vacancies for classrooms are currently 41, and that's down from 56 last year at this same time. We're down to 21 in enhancement and CTE, and that's kind of remained consistent over the last couple of years, but we're down in EC vacancies, down from, typically we have about 19, we're down to 17. But what I'm most thrilled about, and hopefully that we're turning a corner on, is our 37 classified vacancies, because last year this time we had 51. So there's some news to celebrate there. Certainly nowhere where we want to be, but certainly trying to head in a direction that is better than where we have been. Want to say special thanks to the HR staff as well as the principals for all the hard work that's gone into hiring this season. We have worked really hard to do some hiring early on. We sponsored our annual TA to Teacher information session last Friday, May 31st. 8 EPPs or colleges were in attendance, and that's up from last year. We had 44 classified staff registered to attend, had a lot of positive feedback around that. We are hosting Inspiring Leaders Conference on Wednesday, June the 5th at Gentry, and we have about 70 teachers signed up, so we're hopeful about that for the future. We're in the process of scheduling and planning for 2 face-to-face job fairs for certified and classified staff this summer. They are both scheduled at the county building, and one we're doing June 11th and one we are doing July 15th. And I know that seems like a lot and they're close together, but I feel like it's necessary for us to continue to work to fill our vacancies. And something new, the last couple of face-to-face job fairs have been a lot of good attendance there, so it's something that we want to continue to work on. We've hired and placed at least 54 international teachers for the upcoming school year. 39 of those were screened and hired early by the HR staff. We asked for a pool to be given to us, and then our staff made videos and things for principals to be able to look at and hire from. We feel like that was very helpful. VIF teachers from EPI and Participate are considered to be cream of the crop from their native countries. So they are, sometimes we are having to hire alternative licensed teachers here. These folks have had traditional teacher training in their country, and lots of them come with many years of experience. So just to give you an idea, last year we only onboarded about 7 VIF teachers, so this is a sizable increase for us. And so we've got to really work hard to plan to receive these folks accordingly. We are attending a career fair for military spouses on Fort Liberty on Wednesday. We mentioned that we distributed 220 t-shirts, to give you the exact numbers, to recognize bus drivers and monitors who met 120 days of attendance on their assigned bus routes for the school year. While they didn't make perfect attendance, some of them had even just a few absences, so we wanted to recognize that hard work. We kind of did a look back, I think, beginning in January. the 11 bus drivers we recognized here tonight. And just so you know, bus driver training will chug right on through the summer, and we're going to be training 2 drivers per week. I wish we could increase that because that would help us. We've been talking with Mr. Pearson about trying to come up with some things to fill in the gap while we are still looking for athletic trainers, so we want to share that with you. It's been difficult across the state for many systems, including North Carolina, across the United States and many schools in North Carolina to hire athletic trainers. We've had 2 vacancies extended for a period of time. So we're trying to address these, and we've done a lot of things by increasing the pay and working on the supplement. But we want to do this with athletics trainers that are now first responders. And while a first responder cannot administer treatment or diagnose injuries in athletes, with proper training they can serve to meet the mandate of having medical personnel available at athletic events and administer critical care first aid. And they also can help ensure the paperwork is in order and that protocols related to returning to play from injury and concussions are monitored. So they will be trained according to state first responder guidelines, and they'll be mentored by our current licensed athletic trainers as we continue to seek full-time athletic trainers, but we would have these in place to help fill in that gap and serve in these roles in the meantime. That is my report tonight, unless you have additional questions for me.
One question.
Yes.
How many TAs did we end up with in the classroom? You know, who couldn't drive buses at the end of the year? How many TAs did we have?
Like right now that couldn't drive the bus, Ms. Gaines?
That just, for the school year that just ended?
Well, we don't have any TAs in the classroom currently that are not driving or monitoring if they are qualified to do that. I'm not sure I'm answering your question right.
Those TAs who couldn't drive buses,
Yes, ma'am.
we put them in classrooms.
Yes.
As full-time teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
How many did we end up with in the classrooms?
Probably, is it like 5? Virginia's frantically looking up.
I'm sorry.
It is a small number. Most of them, we'll tell you in a minute.
That's fine.
It ended up being, I think when we actually finished, it was like 7. I was close, 7.
Yeah, okay.
I knew it was something like
And
that. We ended up having like 10. We had some that didn't participate, and then that's how it dwindled down at the end.
And we'll continue that procedure for 24, 25, if needed.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely, that is the plan. And we, just so you know, we've put in some extra things in place, like, I don't know, is Kelly still in here? We are even, they sign on the application that they know they have to have dual employment. I think they actually signed twice. I was going through it last week, looking at it again. And Kelly, who helped with the awards tonight, she's actually calling people and reminding them and talking to them on the phone. And then every year, Ms. Gainey, we're making everybody sign, so they don't forget they signed up to drive the bus when they took on dual employment. So we're trying to do all the things. I do think that this has been very helpful, though, for our folks to know that this is a requirement. And I think the folks that are driving feel really supported, that everybody's kind of having the same expectations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, Ms. Thompson? Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Moving along to Student Services, Mr. White.
Chairman Jaggers and members of the board, inside of your board package, you will find the district release reassignment withdrawal report ending on May the 28th, 2024, and the Star Academy report through May 29th, 2024. Harnett County Schools celebrated the class of 2024 with graduation ceremonies on May 21st, 28th, 29th, and 30th. This year, Harnett County Schools graduated a total of 1,412 students from 7 schools with the reported scholarship total of $15,916,088. The amount received in scholarships this year represents a 29% increase over the number of scholarship dollars received during the 22-23 school year. So kudos to those students and their academic progress during this 23-24 school year. Harnett County School Student Support Services is partnered with UNC Pembroke to offer a school-based mental health symposium at UNC Pembroke on June the 12th and 13th, 2024. This is also in collaboration with Scotland County Schools and NCDPI. Now, the topics covered at UNCP next week will be dealing with trauma in schools and navigating the challenges associated with that. So we are excited about that particular symposium. And Mrs. Allison Castle, our Director of Counseling Services, has helped lead that charge for us in that particular area. Also this evening, I want to publicly say thank you to all of the Student Support Services staff across the district for their hard work this year, and we are looking forward to a stellar 2024-2025 school year. This completes my Student Support Services report for this evening, unless there are any questions.
Any further questions for Mr. White? Thank you, Mr. White.
Thank you.
Moving along to financial service report, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Chair Jaggers, board members. I just wanted to update you. Our open enrollment for flexible benefits ended during May, and we had nearly 1,100 staff who met one-on-one with enrollment counselors and selected to enroll in one of our benefit options that we have for flexible benefits. Along with the insurance and benefits, letting you know that we're in the process of gathering data to prepare for the third-party administrator change for the state health plan from Blue Cross Blue Shield to Aetna for our employees. That doesn't become effective till July 2025, but we're in the process of gathering data and working with the state health plan to make that transition as smooth as possible for our employees. Just to remind you, second installment of our regular teacher supplements will be paid during the June payroll, which will be on June 20th. And we're in the middle of the year-end closeout for the 23-24 school year to make sure we maximize all our state and federal dollars so we don't return any to those organizations. And although we haven't closed out the year yet, we started the audit process, financial audit process for the 23-24 school year with our auditors being on site a couple weeks ago to start that work. We're also working on financial needs of the summer programs and getting everything lined up so they can begin here this week and next week. And as Dr. Fleming mentioned, that we have been working on some of the 24-25 budget items as we prepare for next school year. And that concludes my report unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Cox? Thank you, Mr. Cox. Moving along to item that we're skipping 10, move on to item 11.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This consent agenda, chairman votes aye.
Howard votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Moving along to item 12A, review, under action, review and consider approval of EC-related service contracts.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, these are the contracts for related service providers for our EC students. These include speech therapists, an occupational therapist, and an ASL interpreter, American Sign Language interpreter.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Chairman votes aye.
Howard votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Moving to item B, review and consider approval of Franklin Covey Leader in Me Professional Development Contract.
I'm sorry. Yes, Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, the Franklin Covey Leader and Me PD contract will cover our schools in the Overhills attendance area, Overhills Elementary, Overhills Middle, and Overhills High School, as well as South Harnett Elementary, Anderson Creek Primary, and Boone Trail Elementary. All the principals attended a symposium. They got buy-in, and they would like to have these programs at their school beginning the school year. We did write a grant with the Kern Foundation, and we got some funding for that. So I've got the contract to present for your approval.
I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Howard votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Review and consider approval of 24-25 alternative schools modified accountability system.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, this is the Alternative School Modified Accountability System. Star Academy has participated in this model and would like to continue participating in this model, but each year we have to get school board approval to send it to DPI.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item D, review and consider approval of Pearson Virtual Schools Virtual Learning Programs contract.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, this is the learning platform that we'd like to use for Harnett Virtual Academy this year. It aligns with some of the things that we're using in our high schools already. The bid did come in lower than what we have been doing, so we would like to use this for the 24-25 school year for the Harnett Virtual Academy.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item E, review and consider approval of the 24-25 Career and Technical Education CTE plan.
Good evening, Chairman Jaggers, Ms. Gainey, Mr. Abate, Mr. Powell, Mr. Godfrey, Dr. Fleming, and esteemed members of the Cabinet. I'm before you this evening to respectfully request signature for approval for the CT local application for fiscal year 25. Your signature will allow me to submit this to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction to plan for spending for our students for next year. Per federal Perkins legislation, every 2 years, PSUs that receive Perkins dollars have to go through the comprehensive local needs assessment. So the packet before you that has our local application is quite lengthy, and I did want to explain that. So this year, we have worked a group of stakeholders, including myself, district leadership, CTE advisory, CTE teachers, CTE students, economic development, and other stakeholders to assess our programming and identify areas for improvement. That will drive our funding for the next 2 spending cycles. We also have to keep in mind legislative priorities of the General Assembly in our budget, so you will see some increases in areas from previous years of our budget to address the CLNA identified needs, as well as upcoming legislative priorities over the next 2 spending cycles. The CLNA will be revisited every year, so you will receive a local application from us annually. The purpose of that is for us to revisit the analysis we did of our programming to monitor and ensure we are working towards improvement in identified areas. The budgets before you include PRC 13, CTE months of employment, PRC 14, CTE state funds, and PRC 17, federal Perkins dollars. Every dollar allotted before you does have a job in CTE to ensure the positive impact on student learning in our classrooms and to ensure they are career and college ready when they leave Harnett County schools. The bulk of our state and federal funding will always go to instructional supplies and materials to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our learners in our classrooms and making them globally competitive citizens when they join the workforce. We did not stray too far from previous year's budgets, but you will see, again, increases within certain budgets and object codes to address the needs identified in the CLNA. In closing, I want to leave you with some positive findings from our comprehensive local needs assessment. I'm proud to say that Harnett County Schools CTE has exceeded the state, region, and affinity group percentages in the following performance indicators. In 3S1 post-secondary placement and in 5S1 attained recognized post-secondary credentials. And our percentages here, positive post-secondary placement, 3S1, Harnett County Schools is 98.46%, our state at 96.88. In 5S1, attained recognized industry credentials, Harnett County Schools is at a 74.10 attainment rate, and our state is at a 61.9% attainment rate. This year, we're pleased to share that the senior class of 2024 obtained 9,532 total credentials over their tenure of 4 years of high school, with 1,570 of those earned just in the senior year. At this time, I will address any questions that you may have regarding our funding application for fiscal year 25, and I want to thank you for your support and guidance to a new director. It has been a wonderful opportunity serving the students of Harnett County Schools this year. Questions?
Thank you.
Make a motion of approval, Mr. Chairman, for the
Second.
request.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Thank you. Review and consider, item F, review and consider approval. Review and consider approval of purchase of, is that barred? Barred units for Wayne Avenue renovation.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, you have before you 3 bids that were procured as far as replacing the barred units, which are HVAC units for the remodeling of Wayne Avenue School. As you know, the plan would be to move our Dunn campus of our early college into that building for next year. You'll see the low bid being given by Lowman Garrett of $172,947.48. Since this exceeds the $90,000 threshold, I would need board approval on that, and I would recommend Lowman Garrett the low bid for these barred units.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Item G, review and consider approval of pest control services.
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, again, you'll have before you bid tabulation by a committee who reviewed the submissions for pest control services for Harnett County Schools beginning in July, I believe it is. You see the recommendation there from the committee to go with bug out for that service. You also notice that it's not the cheapest of the bids that was received, but in the opinion of the committee, brought forth a plan which involved quite an extensive effort at rather than reactive when the problem was arose to preventive measures to prevent problems from being started. They also do serve various other school systems in the area, and that is the recommendation of the committee. I would ask for your approval of the contract to bug out.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item H, review and consider approval of acceptance certificate for installment financing contract completion.
And yes, this is the energy performance contract which you approved a while back and we embarked on. And what this is acknowledgement that the final phase of the improvements that the company was going to make for Harnett County Schools has been completed. Mr. Billy Wester, our HVAC supervisor for our maintenance department, has signed off that all of the criteria which the company stated that they would improve and or replace has been completed. I would recommend your approval of the acceptance certificate which is required for distribution of the payments to Snyder Electric.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion about accepting the certificate? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Powell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Item I, review and consider approval of school nutrition new bids for the 24-25 school year.
Yes, Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, you see before you the bids. Stay there, Sarah.
Okay.
You see before you the bids. We did bring some. I think maybe last month, but a little earlier. But you see the first 5 there had single bidders. Then lot 6 beverages we're recommending to Pepsi Company, and I'm going to let Miss Sarah explained lot 3 supplies, a little bit of an unusual thing there, but she can explain that to you.
Yes, so we actually had 4 bidders actually go for our lot 3 supplies. And so here you have the 2 highest, or the 2 lowest, I'm sorry. And Cisco typically always wins this bid. And here we have Riverside, who swept it away with a post-audit bid. And they had a few errors they made in the first round, and so it brought it down actually about $60-some thousand, or almost $60,000, so.
So, following the post audit, we would recommend going with Riverside Paper for Lot 3 supplies as well. And I would ask for your approval of those 7 packages, please.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to the recommendation, move that we move forward with the mentioned bids as well as the Riverside Paper bid.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carried. Item J, review and consider approval of Lafayette Elementary year-round school calendar adjustment. Is that Ms. Ferguson?
Chairman Jaggers, members of the board, we're requesting to take the October 10th workday on the current calendar for the year-round and make it a student day, and make August the 8th a workday, so our year-round staff can attend convocation.
Okay.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. Moving on.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A1, A3, and A6 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personnel files under GS 115C 321, to consider matters relating to initial employment of an individual employee, and to consult with the board's attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, motion carries. We're moving to closed session. All right, after a motion in closed session, we return back to open session. Is there any further business before this board?
Mr. Chairman, I have a recommendation. I recommend approval for a 2-year assistant principal contract beginning July 1, 2024 for Carolyn Smith, Rebecca Wilson, Antoinette Bell, and Kelly Coote.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. It is a personnel matter. Chairman votes aye.
Howell votes aye.
Abate, aye.
Gainey, aye.
Godfrey, aye.
Hearing no nay votes, the motion carries. Anything further? Any further business?
Not yet. I had that conversation,
I'll entertain another motion, y'all.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Y'all want to discuss it? All in favor of adjourning, aye?
Aye.
We are adjourned.